Dark greetings.
Dark greetings.
What's up, bestie?
Talking for anime, I guess.
That is exactly what we're doing. Hello and welcome to the Your Name film discussion stream. Got my notes. I think this has been the best one so far.
Interesting. I hadn't thought about it in comparison to the others. I'd have to think about it.
I really liked this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because I feel like each of them did something better than the others.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I guess just overall vibe-wise, I liked this one the best.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel, this was kind of like a best overall type situation.
Yeah, because I feel like you really can't compare. Oh my god, what was the first one we did?
Paprika.
Yeah, you really can't compare Paprika to these other two because, like, that too. But like, I feel like Your Name, and then the one we talked about last week, which is such a long name, we're just gonna go with Pancreas. So, Paprika and Pancreas now is what we got. But like, I feel like these two are somewhat similar, right? Because there is like that sort of romantic element to it, even though technically they never got together in Pancreas in that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's kind of hard to compare to Paprika because, I mean, there was the romance shoehorned in at the end,
which I didn't love.
Yeah, no, we talked about that. That was the major shortcoming of that one.
I would agree.
Did you know it's not a good idea to eat a big bucket of red vines alone? If not,
I've never had a red vine in my life.
I haven't either. Like, I feel like it's one of those divisive things, like you're a red vine person or a Twizzler person.
Here's the thing. I'm not a Twizzlers person unless they're specifically those Twizzlers that you peel apart strand by strand.
But those are cherry, not strawberry. So they're not real Twizzlers.
Whatever, man.
Yeah, no, they have to be strawberry. Otherwise, they're like a completely different thing.
Sure.
I think those taste like cough syrup, the pull and peel.
Interesting.
They're cherry cough syrup flavored. That's what they are.
We were obsessed with them in high school. Anyway, we open with my first note is a shooting star, ? A meteor, ? But then it is immediately confirmed that it is in fact a well, we get to the comet thing. Yeah.
Which, like most things in movies or TV shows, is like, well, they're clearly not talking about this for nothing. Just like in Pancreas, they were talking about the person who's going around randomly stabbing people on the news. They don't bring that up for nothing.
Yeah.
So comet must be significant somehow.
But we have our two protagonists. We have Mitsuha, who is a high school student who lives way out in the country in Japan in a very small town. And we have Taki, who is also a high school student, but he lives in the center of Tokyo. So it becomes clear very quickly. Like, a lot of these I formatted as questions because, like, these are things that I was asking myself as I was. Yeah. But Mitsuha and Taki have been dreaming about each other.
Yeah, which is interesting, because right off the bat that they are both real people, and so obviously
they've never met.
Yeah, something sort of supernatural going on here. Freaky Friday sort of situation.
And also, this is just kind of like a little cultural difference question, because when during like the first scene in Mitsuha's house in the morning, there's like a radio up near the ceiling that's like broadcasting like a town-wide loudspeaker announcement.
Yeah, I don't know.
We don't have that here.
Yeah, I don't. They had those in Jonestown. That's all I could think of. I don't know why that was the only thing I could think of when I saw the speakers. I'm like, like in Jonestown for the propaganda, Yeah, I don't know if that's like a thing, especially in smaller town, like more remote areas, because especially being in the mountains, it might be harder to get signals and that sort of thing. So maybe it's because of that to some degree. And then maybe it's a bit of a holdover from the days before even cell phones and stuff like that.
I hear that would be meows. My guess.
Yeah, Nyx is desperately trying to get in my lap.
Aw.
Nixie, oh my goodness. Oh, she's almost in frame. She got her paws up on my chair.
Hi, buddy.
Nixie, I don't want you in my lap. I'm sorry, lady.
See, I wrote down this question, and I don't remember exactly what it's pertaining to, because it's what I wrote is just make up with who. Like, somebody tells somebody, like, oh, you should just make up with someone, and it's not clear at the time who they're talking about.
I'm not even sure what you're talking about.
I'm not either. Okay. I watched this movie last week when we were supposed to talk about it.
Yeah.
But everyone is saying that, like, everyone kind of around Mitsuha, her family, her classmates are like, oh, you were acting really weird yesterday. And she seems very confused by all this. She doesn't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, which, you know what that reminded me of?
Do tell.
Lane.
Oh, yeah.
Because, you know, the other Lane doing things, you know, and then like, oh, that really wasn't like you.
Yeah.
So immediately made me think about that.
But we learn as Mitsuha is on her way to school that her father is the incumbent mayor who's currently running for re-election. And he seems like a very harsh man. He calls her out, like, in front of a bunch of people, like, hey, stand up straight.
What a nice way to put it. I was just going to call him a dick.
Yeah, he's an asshole, frankly.
Like, tells her to stand up straight while walking. Who cares? I mean, technically, I guess you should because you're a posture, but none of us do that. So, you know, it's good for your back kind of thing.
But when Mitsuha gets to school, she opens up her notebook and there is a note in there that clearly she has not written because she's confused by it, that just says, who are you?
Also, why would she write that in her
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so immediately it's you're kind of getting the sense that there was some other person in her place in some form.
Yeah. But her town is so rural that they literally don't even have like a cafe. Her friend's boyfriend, Teshi, is like, hey, let's go to a cafe. And he literally means, let's go sit on the bench by this vending machine.
Yeah, I forgot to write it down, but they were like listing things they don't have, and there was something I was really surprised they didn't have, and I can't think of what it was now because I didn't write it down.
Yeah, I don't remember either. But apparently they have like 3 bars.
2
necessities.
2 pubs. They had 2 pubs. I did the dub and sub, and so of course they're not matching, which I thought was really interesting because some parts like the subtitles referred to them as pubs, and I forget what the dub. It was something different though. I was like, oh, that seems very British, but then this is okay. But there are some places where this is actually noteworthy that I'll probably bring up. Assuming you only went sub.
But there's mention of a ritual at some point in the conversation, and at first I was like, what ritual? But then we learn that Shintoism is still pretty commonly practiced out in this countryside town where Mitsuha lives, and she, her sister Yotsuha, her grandma, they're all keepers of what was her last name? It was Miyakami?
Oh, I saw it on the screen so many times, and I was like,
I'm going to Google this because the name is important. I don't know why I forgot to write it down.
I thought that I was going to remember. It felt like very similar to Mitsuha's name. Like it had a similar like cadence and syllable.
Name.
It both started with M.
Anime.
Yeah.
Come on.
Mikiyama? No, that's not it.
Oh my god, stop telling me who's in it. Just tell me the characters. Miyamizu. So, yeah, like her family's house is like this like very like old like traditional style Japanese house, and they are the caretakers of this Miyamizu shrine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And her, okay, they mention the ritual. We'll get to what that actually is in a couple seconds, because there's a couple like little things that happen in between the mention and the actual visuals. But one, her father doesn't seem like a particularly honest politician.
No,
not at all.
Not surprising from the few moments we saw him already.
Mm-hmm. And all of these kids, like Mitsuha, I can't remember what her friend's name is, but Mitsuha, Tashi, and his girlfriend, they all just seem so like trapped.
Well, yeah, small towns, like, you know, the one that I'm from.
I am from a smaller town, but not that small.
You're also like a suburb of the state capital.
Yeah.
Whereas we were literally in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess technically like an hour, 45 minutes to an hour from Pittsburgh, but we don't go there unless necessary. The traffic is insane. 2 hours from Cleveland, like not close to anything really.
Mm-hmm.
So I totally get that feeling of, you know, not having any of the things that the people in the bigger cities have access to. And we used to have a movie theater in my hometown. It had 2 screens, and that closed down when I was in like middle school.
Damn.
Yeah, it's all bars and banks. That's the kind of joke that was always ongoing. But, and I can't remember if this is the point where this conversation comes up in the movie. I think it is a little bit later, where I'm gonna have to look up that girl's name. I forgot to write it down. But they're talking, and she asks him like what he's gonna do after he graduates, and he says, "Yeah, probably just stay here. Right, like, just keep things as they are." What was it?
Sayaka.
You know, I'm gonna write it down because I'm gonna forget it again. So yeah, he says like, "Yep, just gonna kind of stay here, keep on keeping on." Mm-hmm. You know, and that's, I think, really common in those kinds of towns, definitely in the one I came from.
Yeah.
So I definitely get the feeling.
But then we have this scene where Mitsuha and her sister Yotsuha are performing this kind of like traditional Shinto ritual performance, whatever you want to call it. I am not well versed in the practices of Shintoism, but
I thought they referred to it as a ritual.
Mm-hmm. But I was surprised to learn that makes sake. That like one of the oldest ways to make sake was to just chew up rice, spit it out, and then let it ferment naturally. And there's a name for it. Hold on.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it makes sense in a way that your saliva does have, you know, properties that break down food.
Mm-hmm.
And that's essentially what fermentation is.
Kuchikami sake.
Sure. I will forget that immediately.
That's fine. But during this ritual, Mitsuha sees that there are people from her high school class there observing. And after this is done, like, she's very embarrassed by this. And after this is done, as she's walking away from the shrine, like the temple, the shrine with her sister, she like stops and screams like, "I hate this town."
Because of the mean girls.
Yeah.
We're like, oh my God, I would never do that in public. Like, God, they're everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Universal.
So yeah, she does have to spit into something, and that is kind of an awkward thing, but like, bitches be bitches.
Bitches be bitches. But then Mitsuha wakes up the next morning in Taki's body.
Importantly, when she screams that she hates the town, she also asks to be reborn as a boy in Tokyo.
Yes. And then literally the next morning she wakes up in Taki's body.
As a boy in Tokyo, yeah.
And she immediately thinks it's all a dream, because why wouldn't you?
Yeah, why wouldn't you? And especially like she was just wishing for the thing, and often our dreams are based on like whatever's on our mind. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, this makes sense.
But as Taki, she has a rather awkward day at school because she doesn't know any of Taki's friends. She doesn't know his routines, where his classes are, etc. He
works.
Yeah, she doesn't know that he has a job that he's supposed to be at.
Which helpfully he apparently like set calendar alerts on his phone or something, or did he get a text? I didn't.
He got a text or something.
Yeah, that he was late. But I mean, at this point, it's very sort of classic body switch type tropes, I think.
Yeah.
Which, you know, but what more can you really do with that?
Exactly. But she goes to Taki's shift at his job at a restaurant, and there is this sort of incident where his like manager, I guess, her name's Miss Okudera. Mm-hmm. She is like dealing with this customer who's like clearly trying to get a free meal by like shoving a toothpick into his dish and being like, oh, this, if I hadn't noticed this could have killed me.
Yeah.
And she, you know, does the company policy of like, oh, let me get you we'll give it to you on the house, blah, blah, blah. But the guy like cuts her skirt.
Yeah. For what purpose?
I have no. Well, actually, I might have an idea. Apparently, in Japan, you cannot turn off the camera shutter sound on your phone. Like, it is illegal to have a phone that doesn't have the camera shutter sound because upskirting was such a fucking problem.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering if it was just like, ooh, let me get a look.
But it didn't really seem like much was exposed, though.
Yeah, and I don't know.
There is no way he cut the fabric of her skirt without cutting her. It was against her skin.
Mm-hmm.
That really bugged me. I was like, that's not possible.
Mm-hmm. But
yeah.
Taki very uncharacteristically fixes it with some adorable hand embroidery.
I know, it's so cute. I wish I could do that.
I sort of can.
I tried before. I can't stand the sound of the needle and like squeaking through the fabric.
Interesting.
I couldn't do it. It was like nails on a chalkboard every time.
But when Mitsuha finishes her day as Taki, she has the very smart idea to write her name on his hand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because I mean, obviously they don't know each other's names at that point.
Mm-hmm, which that comes back in a big way later.
Yeah, and I wonder at what point does she sort of accept that it's not a dream? Because I feel like she must think it's not a dream for her to do that.
Mm-hmm. Well, because I remember her saying something along the lines of like when she's working, a very like busy shift at Taki's restaurant job, she refers to it as a nightmare at that point. So I feel like that may have been when it kind of clicked for her, because prior to that she was like doing things that she had always wanted to do, like going to a cafe in Tokyo.
Yeah. Elphaba's being a weirdo again.
Yeah, she is on the move.
She just keeps like appearing in frame.
Oh my god.
Because like, when you're facing forward, your head's mostly blocking her where she is now, but sometimes it'll just noodle to the side.
And when she wakes back up in her own body, she sees that Taki has done the same thing and written down his name.
Mm-hmm.
Which, again, very smart. But when Mitsuha wakes up in her own body again, she's once again having the experience of people being like, oh, you were acting so out of character yesterday. Like, I can't believe you did that. And there was a point where Taki, as Mitsuha, heard a bunch of people gossiping about Mitsuha and her father and like, the mayoral election and things like that. And he kicks over the desk. And I thought that was interesting, because one of the things that Miss Okudera had said in like one of the previous scenes was that Taki was always really quick to pick a fight.
Yeah. Yeah, it didn't quite go where I thought it was going to go. I thought the story was going to be more about like each of them compensating for the other. Like, so like Mitsuha isn't really good at standing up for herself, right? And these girls are always talking shit. And it's like, well, he's good at being confrontational. So he'll like address that for her. Like, oh, he's too nervous or shy to talk to girls. So she'll kind of like address that for him, right? And I thought it was going to be, but they didn't really make that a focus.
They didn't. This did not go where I thought it was going to go. Like, I thought the whole movie was going to be two of them trying to cope with the fact that they're randomly switching bodies.
Yeah. But that wasn't really like a focus in a lot of ways.
That was like the first third of the movie, if that.
Yeah, I definitely had that thought, like, okay, so where are they going with this now?
Mm-hmm. Because they very quickly establish a system of like setting rules for each other and leaving kind of status reports of what the one person did in the other person's life on any given day that they switched places.
Yeah, which you're definitely gonna need, for sure.
I thought that was genius. But one of the days that Taki is in Mitsuha's body is a day where Mitsuha accompanies her grandmother and her little sister to go to what's referred to as a sacred relic of the oh, I forgot it again. Come on, Bridget, you're better than this.
The
Miyamizu Shrine.
I got the first half.
There you go.
Mizu, that's water.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But this felt significant, but I didn't really know why until we were further into the movie. But their sacred relic is in a crater.
Yeah, which is interesting. Actually, now I'm wondering what Mia would mean, because I'm wondering.
I was kind of curious about Mitsuha and Yotsuha's names because they have that same ending syllable or syllables.
Yeah, but it just made the connection if Mizu is water and kind of thinking about the lake that formed in the crater. So it just made me kind of curious.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Okay, maybe not. Oh, so it can mean shrine. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. This is gonna take too long to me, actually.
That's fine. But at the end of this day, after they leave the Kuchikamizake as an offering at the shrine, and after that, Mitsuha's grandmother turns to quote unquote Taki as Mitsuha and says, "You're dreaming right now, aren't you?"
Yeah.
That was weird.
Yeah, but like it's the trope of the perceptive old woman too, which is pretty common.
Yeah.
Or the old man is genderless, but
back in Taki's life, Mitsuha has set him up on a date with Miss Okudera.
Yeah, didn't really give him much notice.
No, not at all. But they go out on a date. They go to like this fancy like restaurant in a skyscraper type deal. But there's also an art exhibit, like a photography exhibit that they go to. And one of the photos in the art exhibit is of Itomori, which is the small town that Mitsuha lives in. And Taki immediately recognizes it.
Yeah, because he's been sort of living there partially.
But the date goes okay. There's kind of like this understanding at the end of like, yeah, this isn't really the vibe, but like, thanks. But when Taki's on his own after the date wraps up, he tries to call Mitsuha. And this is one of those things where I was like, did she leave Taki her number, or can you just look people up like that in Japan? Because I know in Sweden, people's home addresses are considered public record.
I thought, I don't know, maybe I just assumed that she put the number in his phone.
Yeah, I don't know.
Which honestly, like, I was really surprised that they didn't try to meet sooner or talk sooner. Because that would have been my first instinct. Like, we gotta talk this shit through. Like,
That's fair.
Yeah. By the way, I looked up their names. Mitsuha means 3 leaves, and Yotsuha means 4 leaves.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. But one of the big plot points is this autumn festival that is going to take place in Itomori. And on the day of, they're kind of unclear as to who is waking up in Mitsuha's body, whether it's Mitsuha herself or Taki, because she cuts her hair.
Yeah, because that was always the way to tell, right? Like
very suddenly.
Although there wasn't anything comparable with Taki, right?
No, not really.
Yeah, but you always knew based on the hairstyle, which was And so I assume that's why they put the haircut in there, because I can't see any other reason.
Yeah, because I'm wondering who decided on that.
Yeah.
But the animation in this sequence, because like in the background, they have been reporting on this comet that is supposed to pass by Earth and be very visible at, a specific range of dates around this autumn festival. And we see, Mitsuha out in this field watching this comet pass over her, and the animation is astounding, beautiful. Absolutely loved it. But then the next thing we hear from Taki next, that apparently one day the switches just stop.
Yeah. And it's right after it appears that something bad happened with that comet. That can't be coincidence.
Nope. No, it cannot be. But Taki is quite the artist, because he kind of makes it his mission to figure out what happened to find Mitsuha. And he goes on this whole little journey where he drags what's his friend's name? I have it pulled up here.
Tsukasa.
I
remember because that's the name of a character from a different anime.
So he drags Okudera and Tsukasa on a little quest with him where he's looking for Itomori based only on the sketches that he's drawn from his memories of being there as Mitsuha. And he goes all over the place looking for it. And they stop in this little restaurant, and one of the servers notices his drawing and is like, "Oh, that looks like Itomori. That's where my husband grew up." And the husband's out. He's like, "Oh my god, yeah, that is Itomori." And Taki says, "Okay, like how? Where is that? How do I get there?"
Yeah.
And something happened to Itomori.
Yeah. Although honestly, I did like this movie, but there were so many plot holes.
Yeah.
Like, he went to her high school we don't know how long this went on that they were doing these switching, but he was definitely at her high school, living in her home. He didn't see a piece of mail. The name of the high school doesn't have Itomori in it. Like,
I have no idea.
How could he have lived many days in this town as her and never have seen or heard the name of the town?
Couldn't tell you.
That really irked me.
That's fair.
Because it's just so unbelievable, yeah.
When the man in the restaurant says, like, "Oh, like something happened there. Like, it's been like 3 years since something happened there." For a second, I was like, has it been 3 years since the switches stopped? Has he just been looking for her for 3 years? But no. How do I want to? Because, like, Mitsuha's notes start, like, fading out of a notebook.
Yeah.
And we learn that Itomori was hit by a comet. And Mitsuha died.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it all does kind of fit together, because earlier when Taki as Mitsuha is going to the shrine, the grandmother is talking about, like, this is one of those moments where there's like a specific word for it that was in the subtitles, but in the dubbing, they just refer to it as unions.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And talking about how time, right, just kind of like flows and makes connections and changes. Right. And so they were sort of setting up this notion that time isn't perfectly linear.
Mm-hmm.
So it did make sense in that regard.
So essentially, Mitsuha and Taki have been switching bodies across time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I wrote down, like at this point in the movie, one of my thoughts was like, at least Mitsuha got to experience Tokyo in some way before she died.
Yeah, I suppose. I honestly didn't think about it because I assumed he was going to save her somehow.
That's fair. But the thing I wrote down at this point was, how is there still an hour of movie left?
Yeah, no, I looked as well. Like, okay, so we're not even halfway through. Mm-hmm. She's dead. Like, where are we headed?
But I believe it's Okudera who notices that Taki is wearing this like woven cord bracelet, and he doesn't remember where he's gotten it from. And one of the things that comes up a couple times during scenes in Mitsuha's life is that her grandmother has taught her how to like weave these traditional like cords that Itomori is known for.
Yep. And so automatically when you see he has this, like, oh, clearly it's connected. Clearly he got it from there. We just don't know how yet. Yeah.
But he takes it upon himself to go to the shrine relic that Mitsuha and Yotsuha left their offerings at. And their offerings are still there after 3 years.
And the town's been abandoned at that point. Everybody who was still alive just left.
Mm-hmm. So Taki drinks the Kuchikamizake, which I don't know if it's still sanitary, but okay.
I don't think it was ever sanitary. How long does it take to turn into? It has to be longer than 3 years.
Google, show me this guy's balls,
please. I'm pretty sure that was just spit out rice at that point.
Hold on. Where's the hyperlink?
There's no way it fermented in 3 years.
Kuchikamizake. Okay.
I'm about to be proven wrong.
Fermentation starter description. After 2 weeks of fermentation, it can achieve up to 7% ABV.
I'm afraid of saliva now. Do we spit acid?
Apparently.
That's fun. Now I feel like that dinosaur on Jurassic Park and the things, and he spits the. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess it probably was like.
I get it was
that point. 2 weeks. But when he drinks it, he falls back and he sees this artwork of a comet on the ceiling of this cave that the relic is in.
Yeah.
And this is where things get a little like avant-garde, I guess, or like subjective, because we see this sort of series of like scenes from Mitsuha's life that Taki wouldn't have known about just by like living some days in her life. Like he sees like that her mom died and her father kind of like abandoned the practice of like of upkeeping the Miyamizu shrine and things like that.
And apparently his kids too.
Yeah, so shit father all around.
Well, I mean, the grandmother, I believe it was the grandmother that said like it was half of her.
Mm-hmm.
Which it's interesting because it's almost like at this point, because they've been switching so much, it's like they are two halves of the same being in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Which that was interesting.
But this is like, it becomes a little unclear here because we go back in time in a way. We like we wind up in the situation where Mitsuha is still alive and Taki is back in her body. He has essentially been given a chance to avert this disaster in some way, and he takes it. And also just casually dropping that one, Mitsuha's grandmother knows that it's not her. And her, Mitsuha's mother and grandmother have apparently gone through a similar thing of just fucking switching bodies with somebody.
Which, very interestingly, and this was, I believe, implied that this was something that happened to generations of women in their family as a way to help prevent the deaths of people when this comet eventually hits. Because, like, I can't remember, it started to get jumbled in my head, so I can't remember if we know at this point about the other comet. Do we know?
I don't remember either.
I mean, so we learned at some point that the town was hit by a comet. How long ago? It was like a long time, like 100 years ago or something.
Yeah.
And that's what formed the lake. And so it makes me wonder if it kind of started at that point with her family. Right. And so, like, this ability or capacity to switch with other people just became a trait that got passed down with women in their family, so that when the time would come, you know, they would have this connection that would hopefully help them prevent like hundreds of deaths. Which is weird, but sure.
Also, random factoid. I don't know where I found this out, and so I can't really like fact check it. This might not be true. But somebody supposedly did the math, like based on like average lifespan of people going back generations, like to the point that we started being humans. Like, to get to that point, you only have to go back 80 mothers.
That's weird,
isn't it?
I don't like that.
And you can trace it all and you can trace it all with matrilineal DNA.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? But at this point in the movie, I was like, what on earth is Taki going to possibly do to evacuate this town before this comet hits?
Yeah.
And I thought,
good on him. He could have just tried to save pizza.
Yeah, no, very good on him. Like, he tries to do the most noble thing that he can, and I love that.
Yeah.
But I thought that he plans with Teshi and Saya. I thought that the plan to use the kind of like the loudspeaker warning system that exists in the town was very smart. And this was planted like earlier in the narrative. Teshi's father is like a construction or excavations guy. Like, he has a family business, because she's like, oh yeah, I have these explosives we can use. And I was like, what on earth do and at the time I was like, what on earth do explosives have to do with it?
Yeah, because that does come up earlier in the movie, that he's telling him like, oh, we do your research because we got to work with explosives tomorrow. Right.
But Mitsuha, or Taki as Mitsuha, tries to go tell Mitsuha's father that the town needs to be evacuated because this comet is going to hit and, you know, lives will be lost. And unfortunately, of course, he doesn't believe her.
Oh, yeah, who would?
Understandable, even though he is still a dick.
Oh, yeah, no, he sucks. But it is interesting. And it kind of bugs me they didn't come back to this, because he says, like, you're not Mitsuha, who are you?
Because, I mean, she is, like, acting very out of character.
But he said, like, he knew. Like, he knew it. And so it made me wonder if he was, like, familiar with her mother and her mother's experiences and knew this was a thing that happened in their family.
It's very possible.
But like, they never address it. It just cuts off that. We never see anything else.
And this is another thing that they kind of drop sort of kind of randomly, or like, it's relevant, but I was like, why wasn't this addressed before? Because we learned that a couple, like, Mitsuha randomly took a little trip to Tokyo by herself, like, without telling anyone, really. And I was like, And at the time, as I'm watching this, I was like, okay, why? And what did she do?
Well, I mean, I automatically assumed she was looking for him.
Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, I assume it had something to do with that, but I was like, why? Not just because, like, for what purpose, I guess.
Yeah. By the way, I was curious. I looked up the speakers.
Did you tell?
So there's a specific name, Bosai Musen, literally translates to disaster prevention wireless system. Municipal loudspeaker network installed by local governments across Japan. So basically, it exists to broadcast alerts about earthquakes and tsunamis, any other natural disasters, public safety announcements, missing persons alerts. Apparently, they're in like every small town and rural village in Japan. And every single day at 5 p.m., they chime to make sure the system works and also to tell children it's time to head home.
That's so nice.
It's so cute.
Love that.
Yeah, so I guess it's very much a small town thing in Japan.
Also, your comment about the literal translation just reminded me that I can't remember where I heard this. I think I heard it like from somebody on YouTube or whatever. But the Chinese character for computer, if you break it down, it's literally like electric meat that thinks.
Yeah, that's fun.
So that's cool. So, and then this is where things get a little confusing with like timelines and like characters, like the fact that we have characters switching bodies, because like there's this moment where I was kind of confused. I was like, is this Mitsuha as Taki in the future after Itomori was destroyed?
Yeah, because it's unclear at what point she switches back to herself, and vice versa.
Yeah. But Mitsuha trying to call Taki on the same bridge that he tried to call her from earlier in the movie.
With neither of them knowing that they're 3 years apart in time.
I know. And we learn that they they very briefly met on the train in Tokyo, and Mitsuha had just enough time to toss her bracelet at him.
Yeah, well, it was her hair ribbon.
Yeah. And like they didn't have time to exchange names or anything. They just sort of locked eyes and were like, oh my, like, this is the one.
Yeah, because I mean the ribbon comes up earlier in, like, that's what they refer to it as earlier in the movie, because that's how I wrote it down. Sayaka notices, like, when she's saying, "Oh, it clearly wasn't like you. You didn't even have your hair ribbon in." So like it's clearly something that's important to her that she wears every single day, and I think that's one of the other reasons that when she cuts her hair, does it have to do with the fact that she doesn't have her hair ribbon anymore? Because she had given it to him at that point.
But yeah, they met 3 years ago, and now they're meeting again across time in different bodies, which is just nuts. But he kept her bracelet all this time, and this scene where they're like on the edge of the crater and they're kind of like talking to each other across time. Oh, so good. Like, and they try to write down each other's names on their hands because there was previous reference to like, and this is kind of like a thing that is referenced across cultures. They call it, like, they translate it as like magic hour in the English dub, but like there are multiple cultures that make references to things like cultural mythologies that make reference to things like the witching hour and whatever. So this was kind of just like the Japanese version of that.
Yeah, well, I mean, there is that discussion earlier in the movie, like where the teacher is teaching them about, like, he refers to it as twilight or dusk, or, you know, but also golden hour, which is mostly used in like film and photography.
Yeah. But because of like the actual like time of day that they're both in this place, but also across time, they can actually like connect physically for this brief moment. which is when they try writing down their names on their hands, and just the pen dropping out of thin air when she like gets the first like stroke of the character on his hand. Oh, devastating.
Yeah, I mean, that connects back to what the teacher was talking about earlier in the movie too, and explaining like, you know, the golden hour and all that is like, it's the time where it's not quite dark and it's not quite light, and like worlds kind of collide.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like these two different time periods are able to connect simply because it's at twilight.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I think the movie / book of a Twilight ruining the word Twilight for me forever. Because all I can think about when I hear the word or say the word.
But Taki, like when he's like the connection has been severed, golden hour is over. I can't remember the exact phraseology because Mitsuha winds up using it like again when we sort of flash back to what she's doing to try and save the town. Because that like this kind of like this meeting that they have, it kind of like ends the body swap.
Mm-hmm.
But Taki's like, I'm not, you know, I remember your name. It's Mitsuha. I'm not going to forget you. And then he immediately does. And it's just so fucking sad.
Yeah. Although this is another one of those things that kind of irked me. Like the extent to which they remember and forget, there seems to be no rhyme or reason to it except for what's convenient for the narrative.
Yeah, there is that.
You know, and like he wore this thing around his wrist for 3 years from a random stranger that he had no idea who she was, didn't, you know, even remember where he got it or anything. And it's like, so yeah, there just didn't seem to be a lot of sense in what they could and couldn't remember and when and they could and couldn't.
But now Mitsuha is back in her body on the day that the comet is destined to fall. And she is putting the plan that Taki came up with Teshi and Saya, putting that plan into action. They blow up the town's like power station with Teshi's father's construction explosives. Which like, yeah, hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But Mitsuha forgets Taki's name as well and uses the exact same, like, oh, I'll remember your name. Like, it's something precious to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, uses the exact same words that he used. And you start getting the sense, like, because like Teshi and Saya, they're trying to help in the evacuation, you know, like they get the alarms going. Saya's up at the school, like using the PA system to tell everybody to evacuate. Teshi is like out in the streets at the autumn festival, like telling people to listen to the warning, and nothing's really happening. So at this point in the movie, I was like, oh my God, like, are they too late?
Yeah. Although, I mean, some people were starting to say like, oh, I guess we should get out of here. And it's like, oh, it's going to work.
Yeah, but I absolutely loved Mitsuha and Taki having the same dialogue about wanting to remember what they have forgotten, like because they know they've forgotten something important.
Mm-hmm.
But Mitsuha she's running somewhere to like try and help, you know, get people to evacuate. She's looking for something, and she trips, and like this is like as the comet is starting to fall, it's like, oh my God, they were too late. And she looks at her hand, and what Taki did actually manage to write something, and what was written there was, I love you.
Mm-hmm.
So sweet.
But as she points out, not super helpful.
Not super helpful, but very sweet. And then it's sort of, the scene just sort of like fades to white, and then we see Taki applying for jobs. So it's been a while.
Yeah, clearly, because he was in high school, and with the kind of jobs he's interviewing for, it seems like he must have gone to college already at this point too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think they established that it was like 5 years, like 8 or 5 years.
5 years.
Both of those numbers were mentioned. I can't remember exactly which one is relevant.
Well, no, it was 5 years because the thing says it's been 8 years since the disaster, and then somebody specifically says 5 years too. So,
but he finds a like news clipping about the comet falling on Itomori, and the evacuation worked.
Yeah. I mean, people still died, but way fewer, for sure.
Way fewer. Teshi and Sayaka lived, and then when he's on the train in Tokyo, he sees somebody who looks very familiar.
Yeah. Which, by the way, Teshi was like, I'm just going to stay here. But they were in Tokyo at the time.
They were in Tokyo. And we see like an older Yotsuha in school. But did you notice that Mitsuha was wearing a star necklace when she was older?
No. I don't think so.
Yeah, she had a little silver star on. I thought that was very cute. But the film ends with the two of them finally crossing paths in Tokyo and asking each other, could I get your name? And my final note is, thank fuck they actually met, because if they hadn't, I would have put a brick through my TV.
Do you think they'll ever remember?
I don't know. I'm just happy that they got to meet.
Would it be better if they did or didn't?
I think it would be better if they did.
Yeah, because at this point, like, I guess maybe he feels like a sense that he loves this person, even though he doesn't know who she is. Mm-hmm. But it's not the same as like him actually loving her, right? So I guess he just has to like fall in love with her again if he doesn't remember.
Is cute in its own special way.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully he does.
I would assume so. But I really enjoyed this movie overall. And I am very much interested in, hold on, I gotta remember or make sure I have the correct director in my mind here. Yeah, it's Makoto Shinkai, and he has a couple other anime films that he's done. I believe one of them is Weathering with You. And I would really like to watch some of his other work based on this, because I liked this a lot.
Yeah, and I don't mean to sound overly, because like I said, I enjoyed it, but it was just, there were, to me, a few glaring plot holes that I had trouble looking past, because they made such a big impact on, like, because they were so, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, integral into pushing the plot forward. Right? But it's like, it's not a bowl, it's a colander with lots of holes.
Yeah.
But the overall sentiment, and I had trouble believing that he could fall in love with her based on the interactions they had, because he never actually like interacted with her.
That's fair.
But I mean, it wasn't as forced as Paprika, but it did feel a little forced to me.
I was expecting this one to be emotionally along the same lines as I Want to Eat Your Pancreas, and I was relieved that it wasn't.
I know, I was so afraid.
This one was not a tragedy.
Pancreas just destroyed me, and I was very upset.
Understandable. Yeah, I mean, do you have anything else to say about this one?
See if I accidentally skipped over. I was looking to see if I skipped over any of my notes. I actually wrote down when they were on the train that Tsukasa was eating Pocky. That has nothing to do with anything. I mean, it was obviously not the actual brand name, but it was like one of those knockoff.
Very clearly Pocky. Yeah.
What it was. Yeah. I was like, ooh, Pocky. But also, what I kept thinking during this whole movie was like, this is kind of like The Lake House. You familiar with The Lake House? Which I think itself was a remake of like a Korean movie, I want to say.
Interesting.
But it came out like 20-something years ago. I don't quite remember.
Okay, that just gave me an idea for something else we could do. We could do a Korean movie month.
We could.
I have like a fair amount of Korean films on my list.
That just generated another idea in my head, which is why I paused. I was like, also just kind of the general idea of comparing like US remakes to the originals of things.
Ooh, that could be fun.
Yeah. It's like,
have you seen Train to Busan?
I still haven't. No, I keep meaning to.
It's a really good one. They're doing an American remake of Train to Busan, which is nuts to me because Train to Busan hinges on having a functioning high-speed rail system in the country.
I do not understand.
Yeah, I don't either.
Stop remaking things just because they're not based in your country. And by your country, I mean the US.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
That's so stupid.
No, Bong Joon-ho, who is, he directed Parasite. He's a Korean film director. Yeah. He has a wonderful quote about how, like, if you can overcome the 2-inch barrier of subtitles, there is a whole world of cinema waiting out there for you.
Yeah. What? I'm trying to remember. What movie? Oh, that was the movie of his. I was like, we watched one of his movies. Yeah.
Yeah, and you've seen Parasite, right?
Yeah. 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 But just suddenly triggered in my head. I was like, we did one of his movies, and it took me a second.
Bong Joon-ho has another movie that he did that was like, it's about like a murder investigation, and it's very specifically about how like this murder happens in like a really small town in Korea, and the police department has no idea how to has never investigated a case of this nature before, and the fact that they like don't know how to do that is integral to the plot, and I'm very interested in watching it. I don't know the name off the top of my head, but it sounds super interesting. So we could save that for a Korean movie month.
Yeah. Yeah. So The Lake House came out in 2006, so exactly 20 years ago. And it was a remake of a Korean movie called, I guess, Tumer, because it's like the Roman numerals, like two capitalized, Tumer, I would guess. But it's the same basic plot. So it is actually kind of the same genre of this, where it's sort of like fantasy, sci-fi, romance, in a way. But the basic plot is that it stars Sandra Bullock and Keanu Reeves being reunited after Speed. Yeah. But they are both living in the same lake house, but 2 years apart. And the lake house has a magical mailbox. Ooh. And they can write letters to each other back and forth. So I actually did watch it like when it first came out, but 2 decades. So I don't remember. And it's kind of, to me, a little on the cheesy side. I've never seen the original, but it's the same idea. They're like in a seaside house or whatever. But it's very similar, right? These two people across time communicating, right? They didn't switch bodies in that, but still a very similar kind of vibe. Now I'm really curious about what the Korean, like the original Korean one was like.
I mean,
not that I liked the Lake House, so when I watched
fair enough.
But yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I always love our explorations into international cinema. I always find them particularly fun.
Yeah, we should. I mean, the vast majority of them are Japanese because we do so much anime, but we should try branching out into some other.
You know what is like kind of crazy? Like both for me personally and also culturally, like China is the second largest film market in the world. And you don't hear, like living in the US, you don't really hear about Chinese movies all that much.
No. I can't remember if I've brought this up to you on the pod or off the pod before, but when I was in college, I took an intercultural communication class.
Love it.
And it was actually a rule that half of the class had to be international students. Only half could be from the US.
Nice.
And we each got put into like groups of 4. So 2 people from the US and then 2 of the international students. And we had to meet on a weekly basis and discuss certain topics and things. And we got an assignment once where each person was supposed to bring a movie from their culture, and we would all watch it and talk about it and stuff, which was really cool. The 2 international students in my group, one was Japanese. I still remember her name was Miyuki. And then the other girl was Chinese. I can't remember her name, but it's been more than 20 years.
Fair enough.
I think I ended up seeing Miyuki a lot more after that, but not this other person. Anyway, she was Chinese, and she brought in a Chinese movie, and it was a comedy. And I still remember it being one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my goddamn life. And I have periodically, for the last 20-ish years, tried Googling different things to figure out what it was, and I can't.
Do you have any plot details that we can give to the internet?
I mean, I guess you would categorize it as a rom-com.
Okay.
And I used to remember parts of it way better than I do now, but it's like these two people, they keep meeting over and over, and they're very antagonistic toward each other. I think I can't remember if they keep dying or if I just imagine that. But it was the kind of humor that's very like dark and surprising to the point where you just kind of like bark laugh because you're like, did they really just say that kind of thing or do that? But yeah, this is 20 years. This has been bothering me. Noted. I periodically check, but the whole point of that being, I would love to watch some more Chinese movies.
I was literally just like, my other point about like, I don't really hear about Chinese movies like in the global conversation or like in the broader conversation of the English speaking media landscape. Yeah. I also, despite being I minored in film studies in college, I've seen maybe 3 Chinese movies. I've seen The Wailing. I watched Wong Kar-wai's In the Mood for Love and didn't really like it, but that also could have been the fact that I was required to watch it by a professor that I didn't really like. And I've seen Moon Man that we talked about on Regrettable Reviews. And the funny thing about Moon Man in particular was that was one of the like biggest releases in China of that year, and I had never heard of it. And again, that is a film market. That's a film market of billions of people.
Yeah.
And you hear nothing. Like living in the United States.
Yeah. I wonder if it has anything to do with the system of government and
yeah, I have absolutely no idea.
How has it never occurred to me that I know multiple Chinese people, including somebody that I work with frequently, and have never thought to ask them if they knew what the movie was?
You should absolutely ask the person I know that we're both thinking of.
Once again, I try so hard not to mention names.
And also, 100%, like maybe like this fall or this winter, we should do like a couple back-to-back like theme movie months. So we could do like Chinese movie month and then Korean movie month and then something else or whatever.
Should I ask this person for recommendations?
Yes. Also because I want to know this person's taste in film.
We talk about media frequently, like movies and TV shows they watch and have opinions on, which is
okay. Yeah, so
I imagine there would be
love
suggestions.
To hear some film recommendations from this individual.
We're being so careful not even to use gender pronouns. I'm sure they would not care, but whatever.
Yeah, no, not at all. But yeah, I think that could be a really fun thing for us to do, is to do like a couple themed international movie months back to back.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
keep an eye out for that in the future.
Yeah, we should do some research on some of the like
the big hits,
most critically acclaimed or international films, and maybe that'll give us interesting directions to go into. Like if there's like a Lithuanian film, for example. Like, does that lead us in an interesting direction?
Actually, really interesting thing that happened to me in my actual life. This is the one time that I ever went into a movie knowing nothing but the title. Like, literally nothing. And I wound up watching a Macedonian folk horror film. 5 stars. I have thought about it every single day. What year did this come out? Google, show me this guy's balls, please. I have thought about this every single day since 2022.
Okay.
It is called You Won't Be Alone.
I was going to ask if you were, yeah.
It is a masterpiece. And I haven't watched it since, but God, do I love it. It's so good. I need to watch it again. It's amazing.
Yeah. That's why, again, if we just kind of like look up, these like popular things or whatever, and it's like, oh, I never even would have thought about doing a movie month themed around like this particular film culture in this place, and it's like, but like they got some stuff here that looks really interesting.
Yeah, so That's definitely a thing we're going to be doing in the future. But in the immediate future, for next week's stream, we are going to be talking about the film Interstellar 5555, which let me see if I can find like a quick little blurb to interest
I know
people.
nothing about it. I can't even remember the name. I'm going to have to write it down.
That's fair.
Do we know where it's streaming?
Google. Tell me.
I can Google that because you're already Googling a thing. Okay, here's a quick little blurb. It's a 2003 Japanese-French animated musical film that serves as the visual realization of Daft Punk's album Discovery. Yes, I was noticing the subtitle is the story of the secret star system, but all the S's are fives.
S's are fives. Actually, hold on. Let me Google streaming.
Yeah, it doesn't really seem to be
where to watch.
Streaming. Might be in an unconventional place.
Yeah. Oh, it's on the Internet Archive.
That's what I just opened that. I was like, let me make sure it's actually there. I clicked on it. I was like, let me say it's there before I. But it has download options.
So, yeah, free on the Internet Archive if you would like to watch Interstellar and talk about it with us. But that is our discussion topic for next week. And other than that, there is no Defen tomorrow. I believe there's regrettable reviews next week, but I don't know what movie they're talking about. So it's going to be Big Dumb Monsters Monday, regrettable reviews Tuesday, Fighting with Friends Wednesday, and then our stream talking about Interstellar on Thursday, and then probably Defen, barring any scheduling issues. But as far as other things we've got coming up in the near-ish future, we've got our 250th episode featuring Johannes Eckerstrom of the band Avatar. That is going to be airing on Tuesday, August 4th. But other than that, it's kind of business as usual. Yeah, I think that's going to be it for tonight. Thank you to everybody who joined us, who participated in chat. We really appreciate that. And we will see you next week to talk about Interstellar. Adios, everybody.